There are machines that weren't built just to move. They were created to face the most hostile places on the planet, where the cold freezes even your thoughts, and snow turns any road into an almost impossible challenge. In the 1980s, while the world was going through technological and cultural transformations, a select group of vehicles was born with a bold purpose: to conquer snow, defeat frozen terrain, and burn a place in the history of extreme machines. Have you ever stopped to think about what snow vehicles looked like back then? Facing the Arctic, the Alps, or the frozen forests of Canada? Some looked like they came straight out of a science fiction movie, while others were so rare they're practically museum pieces today. But they all had one thing in common: they were built to conquer the impossible. And what if I told you that some of these machines were used in secret military missions? Or that one of them was considered impossible to drive without special training? Believe it, what you're about to see is far more than just a list of old snow vehicles. Ready to discover the rarest snow machines from the 80s? Stick with me, because the last one on this list is extremely rare, and it's going to surprise you. Kassbohrer PistenBully PB130D. In the 1980s, when snow blanketed the Alps like an endless white carpet, a German machine emerged as a true mountain artist. The Kassbohrer PistenBully PB130D wasn't just a snow groomer. It was a silent giant, sculpting the impossible with precision. Built in West Germany by the renowned Kassbohrer Geländefahrzeug AG, this model marked the beginning of a new era in ski slope preparation and access to high-altitude regions. Its look was sleek, with sharp lines and a panoramic cabin that looked like it came from a space lab. But beneath that bold design lay surprising power. The PB130D was equipped with a 4-cylinder inline diesel engine, just over 3.5 liters in capacity. It delivered around 120 horsepower, more than enough to push tons of snow and climb steep ramps with almost theatrical grace. The deep growl of the engine echoed through the mountains, while the reinforced rubber tracks adapted perfectly to the terrain. Its suspension used oscillating arms with hydraulic shocks, offering stability even on the most uneven surfaces. The drivetrain was all-wheel, with direct transmission to the wide and heavy tracks, moving like the limbs of a prehistoric beast. The cabin was heated, with intuitive controls and full visibility, making operation a surprisingly pleasant task. This model became a staple in several European ski resorts, especially in Austria and Switzerland, used not just for grooming slopes, but also transporting equipment and staff to remote areas. Its legacy is so strong that many enthusiasts today restore old PB130D units as collector's items. There's even a story that one was used during a mountaintop wedding, carving a trail through the snow just hours before the ceremony. If that German classic already impressed you, get ready for what's next, because this next machine was made for snow, but with the soul of a tank. Hagglunds Bandvagn 206. Picture a machine that looks like two vehicles connected by an articulated joint, gliding over snow like a giant centipede. Now add military design, a powerful engine, and amphibious capability. That's the Hagglunds Bandvagn 206, one of Sweden's most impressive creations from the 1980s. Built by Hagglunds and Senner in Sweden, the Bandvagn 206 was originally designed for military use, but soon found its way into civilian operations, rescue missions, and even Arctic science expeditions. Its uniqueness came from its two articulated modules, the driving cabin up front and the cargo or passenger compartment in the rear, both mounted on tracks. It featured a 6-cylinder inline gasoline engine, producing around 125 horsepower. That allowed the vehicle to cross deep snow, frozen mud, and even shallow bodies of water with ease. Its 4-track drive system and independent suspension made it one of the most capable off-road vehicles in the frozen world. In practical terms, the Bandvagn could transport up to 16 fully equipped people to places where even helicopters couldn't land. The cabin was heated, sealed against extreme cold, and equipped with advanced communication systems for its time. The engine sound was steady, but muffled, allowing for long trips with minimal discomfort. It was heavily used by the military in Norway, Finland, and Sweden, and also in civilian roles in Greenland and northern Canada. In fact, one unit was used by a film crew to haul heavy equipment during the shoot of a documentary about Arctic ice melt. Few vehicles combine such capability, durability, and versatility like the Bandvagn. And if that already sounds like something out of a movie, the next one is a real-life time capsule from Bombardier that still fascinates collectors to this day. Bombardier J5. There's something almost poetic about the Bombardier J5, a vehicle with the soul of a tractor and the purpose of a survival tool. Built in Canada, the J5 was first developed decades before the 80s, but it was during that decade that it solidified its role as the trusted companion of those living and working in remote, snow-covered regions. The J5 was simple in its construction, but absolutely functional. It had a 4-cylinder inline gasoline engine producing about 70 horsepower. Power was delivered to wide rear tracks, while the front used either wheels or skis depending on the version. It wasn't fast or quiet, but it was reliable, and in many cases, it was the only viable option when everything else failed. With a rigid suspension and a robust structure, the J5 could handle weight, cold, and long journeys. It was used by electricians, forest patrols, and residents in areas where winter offered no mercy. The engine's deep tone echoed across the white plains of northern Canada, like a signal of help finally arriving. What makes it rare today is that very reliability. Many were used until complete exhaustion. Few were preserved. Most were dismantled, modified, or simply abandoned when newer models came along. The few that survive today are usually found by collectors in frozen barns, waiting for full restoration. In some remote regions, the J5 was the only way children got to school in winter. In one small town in northern Quebec, a single unit ran for over 20 winters non-stop. And here's the twist. That very machine now sits in the town square, preserved as a monument to the people's endurance through extreme cold. Now tell me that's not a machine worthy of respect. And hey, if you're enjoying this journey through snowbound rarities, now's a perfect time to like this video and subscribe to the channel. There's a lot more ahead, and the next vehicle may look small, but it hides an adventurous spirit that will surprise you. Atex 450. In the 1980s, the idea of going anywhere, regardless of terrain, was gaining popularity among amateur explorers and professionals in extreme climates. It was in this context that the Atex 450 emerged. Small, light, and versatile, this vehicle was made in the United States with a focus on fun and functionality. Its compact, oval design and fiberglass body made one thing clear from the start. It wasn't built to follow roads. It was built to make its own. Powered by a 2-cylinder gasoline engine, the Atex 450 delivered around 18 horsepower. That might not sound like much, but the combination of a lightweight engine and amphibious body gave it incredible agility. It could float over snow, glide across frozen mud, and even cross shallow water. It was a true off-road chameleon. Traction was distributed across 6 wheels, using a simple chain-driven system, and its suspension was practically built into the frame, relying on the flexibility of balloon tires that adapted to the terrain. There was no conventional suspension, but the low weight and center of gravity allowed it to climb hills and move across frozen plains with ease. The Atex was widely used by hunters, fishermen, forest rangers, and even farmers in remote regions. Its engine made a constant buzzing sound, more like a snow cart than a heavy-duty vehicle. It was common to see these little beasts cruising through snowy forests or parked beside wooden cabins on frozen lakes. What makes the Atex 450 rare today is precisely its target audience. Because it was accessible, many were used to the end with no preservation in mind. On top of that, the company that made it shut down in the late 80s, making spare parts and documentation hard to find. Today, finding an original unit still running, especially with an intact body and factory engine, is extremely rare. Interestingly, some fans of the model in the 90s improvised track kits using parts from farm tractors, turning the Atex into a mini snow tank. Most of those builds were lost to time, but a few photos still circulate in online forums to this day. Hold on tight, because the next vehicle is a return to Canadian engineering, only now with more power, more comfort, and a lot more presence on the snow. Bombardier BR100. Bombardier is a well-known name when it comes to snow vehicles, but in the 1980s, the company decided to raise the bar with a model that was not only tough, but also comfortable, stable, and highly efficient. The BR100 became a game-changer for maintenance operations in ski resorts, snow-covered airports, and isolated villages. Built in Canada, the BR100 combined technology and practicality like few others at the time. It featured a V8 gasoline engine with about 5 liters of displacement, delivering roughly 120 horsepower. That power was sent to large reinforced rubber tracks, providing excellent traction on icy surfaces and a smooth ride even on steep slopes or soft snow. The suspension was articulated, with a hydraulic damping system ideal for keeping stability on uneven ground. The enclosed cabin could hold up to 4 people and came with padded seats, a heating system, and a full control panel for the era. It was the kind of vehicle that didn't just get the job done, it got it done with style and comfort. Visually, it was striking, big, bold, and painted in bright red or yellow. The sound of the V8 echoed through the mountains with authority and a certain elegance, as if it was saying, "Don't worry, I've got this." The BR100 was used in countries with harsh winters, like Canada, Switzerland, and France. It was often seen in patrol and transport operations in dangerous areas. What makes it rare today is the fate of most units. Because they were reliable and easy to drive, many were modified over the years, losing their original character. Others were simply scrapped or abandoned due to lack of original parts. Today, finding a BR100 with its original engine, intact cabin, and factory tracks is a rare achievement. The few that remain are either in private collections or still in use in remote villages, created as part of the landscape. And here's a fun detail. This model even made a few background appearances in Canadian mountain film productions, quietly transporting cast and equipment. Most people didn't even notice. If this classic Bombardier already impressed you with its presence, the next machine carries an American legacy that's still going strong. Tucker Snowcat 1600. In the white deserts of North America, when winter came in full force and roads were completely shut by ice, the Tucker Snowcat 1600 would roll into action. Built in the United States, this vehicle became a true symbol of endurance in extreme environments. It was like a snow tractor with the soul of a truck, designed to cross frozen valleys and snow-covered mountains without hesitation. The 1600 model came equipped with a Chrysler V8 engine, known for its reliability and power. It delivered about 150 horsepower, distributed to 4 independent track assemblies, each with its own suspension system. This gave the vehicle impressive traction and a level of stability that few could match at the time. The cabin was spacious, fully enclosed, and equipped with internal heating, intuitive controls, and space for both cargo and passengers. With its long, elevated frame, the Tucker looked like a train car adapted for the snow. The deep purr of the V8 across the frozen plains was a powerful soundtrack, worthy of an Arctic adventure film. It was widely used in scientific expeditions, military operations, and for maintaining communication lines in hard-to-reach locations. Some units were even sent to Antarctica as part of international cooperation programs. And what's most fascinating is that many of those missions continued using the same model for years, proving that the durability of the Tucker 1600 was far more than marketing. Today, it is considered rare for several reasons. First, the high maintenance costs led many to be retired or dismantled. Second, very few survived without being heavily modified. And third, there's a loyal community of fans and collectors in the United States who compete over the few original units that still exist. Some say that driving a Tucker original is like operating a snow locomotive, and those who've had the chance never forget it. If you've made it this far and you're enjoying the video and want to support the channel, just below there's the thanks button where you can contribute and help improve the videos and make the experience even more immersive. Now stick with me, because the next vehicle is so unique and rare you've probably never seen it before. Thiokol 2100. The name Thiokol carries weight in the history of snow vehicles. Known for producing equipment used in extreme expeditions and even space operations, this American brand also made its mark in the frozen off-road world, with a model that combined brute strength, industrial looks, and extreme reliability, the Thiokol 2100. In the 1980s, this machine was synonymous with performance in places where most vehicles wouldn't even start. Built in the United States, the Thiokol 2100 was powered by a Ford V8 engine with roughly 5 liters of displacement, producing around 160 horsepower. That was more than enough power to push its heavy frame over wide, reinforced tracks built to crush snow and grip steep slopes, rough trails, and frozen lakes. Its suspension used coil springs combined with heavy-duty shock absorbers, offering a good level of stability even when carrying heavy loads. The drivetrain sent power directly to the 2 rear tracks through a hydraulic control system, ensuring fast and firm response in any condition. The cabin was simple, functional, and built to last. Firmly insulated and equipped with a heater, it could hold up to 3 occupants and tow trailers loaded with scientific instruments, maintenance tools, or supplies. It was frequently used in rescue missions, logistics support in remote regions, and power line maintenance across vast, snowy areas. Visually, it was imposing, boxy, tall, and with a strong presence. The deep roar of the Ford engine echoed through the snowy mountains like a warning that nothing was going to stop it. Many units were operated in places like Colorado, Alaska, and the Rocky Mountains, earning a reputation among drivers for their toughness and reliable performance, even at -40 degrees Celsius. The Thiokol 2100 is rare today for 2 key reasons. First, production ended in the late 80s when the vehicle division was sold off. Second, because of its adaptability, many units were repurposed for agricultural or forestry use or dismantled entirely for parts. Finding an original unit with factory components and visuals is a challenge for few, and highly valued in specialized auctions. Interestingly, a restored unit was used as a VIP transport vehicle in an ice hotel in northern Canada. It was the official ride to take guests to their private frozen cabins, complete with a bear pelt on the passenger seat. Now get ready, because the next model looks like it came straight out of a cartoon. But believe me, it's real and incredibly rare. Bombardier 1500. Some snow vehicles impress with power, others with versatility. But the Bombardier 1500 stands out for a simpler reason. It looks weird. Built in Switzerland, this model made waves in the 1980s for combining odd design with remarkable functionality. It was a true snow tractor with the looks of a giant toy. Its engine was a 6-cylinder inline diesel, just over 4 liters in size, delivering around 120 horsepower. That was more than enough to drive 2 wide tracks and operate a front-mounted snowblower turbine that spun like a propeller, literally clearing the way ahead. The suspension used reinforced, solid axles with hydraulic joints, allowing it to remain stable while crossing mountaintops, frozen valleys, and thick snow-covered roads. The cabin was enclosed, with wide visibility, heated seats, and a control panel full of levers and gauges that made the operator feel almost like a pilot. Despite the quirky look, the Bombardier 1500 was extremely efficient. It was mainly used at cold region airports, ski resorts, and mountain pass clearing operations. It was one of those machines that started working while other vehicles were still being dug out of the snow. What makes it rare today is its specialized production. It was built for very specific applications, and most units were abandoned once newer models arrived with GPS and digital dashboards. Because the Bombardier required technical maintenance and parts made exclusively in Europe, many were dismantled or left in service yards. There are reports of just a few units still running in rural Switzerland and in private collections in Norway. Even among snow machine enthusiasts, the Bombardier 1500 is little known, which only adds to its rarity status. In fact, An old Swiss collector's catalog once called it the strangest snow clearer of the decade. And honestly, they weren't wrong. Think this trip through the 80s has been amazing so far? Then hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell. There's still more rare snow tech to come. If you think you've seen it all, just wait for the next vehicle. It's lightweight, agile, futuristic, and almost no one remembers it ever existed. Christy KT7. Very few people know the name Christy Manufacturing, but anyone who's seen the Christy KT7 rarely forgets it. Made in the United States, this off-road snow vehicle had such an unusual look that it seemed more like a hybrid between a helicopter and a landing gear than a land vehicle. With an elongated cabin and a narrow frame mounted on front tracks, the KT7 was one of the boldest designs of the 1980s. It had a 4-cylinder air-cooled engine with just over 60 horsepower. It was light, fuel-efficient, and easy to maintain. The cabin held up to 3 people, fully enclosed, with simple panels, excellent forward visibility, and a reinforced frame built to handle the vibration of rough snow surfaces. The big standout was its steering system. Instead of relying only on track control, the Christy used movable front rudders, much like a sled. This allowed for smoother and more precise turns, especially downhill and across open terrain. The suspension was independent on all 4 support wheels, with short travel shocks and a flexible chassis. The KT7 was used in light civilian operations, remote transport, and as support for small weather stations. But since production was extremely limited and the company shut down shortly after, very few units ever reached civilian hands. Today, this model is an ultra-rare piece, virtually extinct, though only a handful of known Christy KT7s still running, nearly all in private collections owned by snow vehicle enthusiasts in the United States. Some old-timer forums even call it the unicorn of off-road snow machines, and it's not hard to see why. One of them actually appeared briefly in a local TV program in the 1990s, but almost no one noticed. It was only rediscovered years later by a collector who recognized the model by the engine's unique sound. And if that already seems rare, take a breath, because the next vehicle on the list is simply one of a kind, a Soviet project that defies all logic, and one that few people even know ever existed. ZIL 2906. Imagine a vehicle that looks like a mix between a submarine and a giant corkscrew, built to travel across terrain where even snow sinks. Now imagine it was developed by the Soviet Union during the Cold War, for a very specific and unusual purpose: to retrieve space capsules from areas no one else could reach. That's the ZIL 2906, a vehicle like no other. Developed by Soviet manufacturer ZIL, the 2906 was created with a single mission: to reach recovery zones where helicopters couldn't land. Instead of wheels or tracks, it used 2 large metallic screw-shaped cylinders that rotated in opposite directions, allowing the vehicle to crawl across snow, mud, sand, and even semi-frozen surfaces. It had a gasoline-powered V8 engine, producing around 180 horsepower. Mounted on a lightweight, concealed chassis capable of floating and remaining stable in swampy environments. The sound of the rotating screws scraping snow was strange, almost hypnotic, as if the ground itself was being carved in real time. The cabin held 2 crew members with space for technical gear. There was no comfort, no luxury, just a functional capsule with analog controls and direct steering for the screw drive system. It was slow but unstoppable, and when everything else failed, this machine kept going. This vehicle is extremely rare. Only a handful of ZIL 2906 units were ever built, all for military or aerospace use. There are no official records of any in civilian service. Just 2 preserved examples exist today in Russian museums, treated as technological relics from the Soviet era. The ZIL is more than rare. It's a symbol of a time when engineering was pushed to the limit to solve the most extreme problems. And even though it never came near a ski resort, it closes this list as the ultimate example of snow-defying boldness. Today, we explored a little-known chapter of heavy engineering history, the rarest off-road snow vehicles of the 1980s. From compact, adventurous models like the Atex 450 to mechanical legends like the ZIL 2906. Each of these machines was built with one clear goal in mind: to overcome the impossible. These are not just machines. They are fragments of a time when facing the cold required courage, creativity, and a kind of engineering that seemed to challenge the very laws of nature. They opened paths where none existed, marked generations, and in many cases, they live on only in the memories of their operators or the eyes of passionate collectors. Now tell me, which of these 80s rarities did you find the most insane? Which one would you want in your collection, or drive across a frozen trail just for the thrill of piloting a legend from the past? Leave your answer in the comments, because I want to know which of these rare machines took you back in time. And if you enjoyed this video and haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. Every week, we post new content about the most incredible machines that dominate the cold, conquer the snow, and prove that winter was never an obstacle, just another terrain to be mastered. And just a quick reminder, if you want to support the channel, the thanks button is right below. If you'd like to help this project grow with more quality and immersive experiences, feel free to click and contribute as you wish. Just the fact that you made it here to the end already means a lot. See you in the next video.